Hey everyone. Um, Thank you for coming again, spending your time, your evening, day, night. But thanks for coming. Today we have FPV and one on the panel, and I'm gonna interview them. So they're gonna talk a little bit what they have been doing lately. So FPV and one, let's start.
Yeah, okay. Hello, Cat Science. Hello, One Conscience. Hello, people in chat.
Hello, both of you and everyone
Hi.
else.
Yeah. Hello. I'm glad both of you guys are on the panel. It's been a long time, has it? I think it's too long. But yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this some time ago, but we just could never get together to do it.
Yeah, I know, huh? So we're going to be talking about the APM research. PB, what started you to do APM research?
Ooh, APM research, right. What started me into APM research, when it came to flat Earth, I was looking, we, as everyone did, I suppose, we all came to flat Earth and maps and models were getting passed around. And at the time, it was the AE map. And, I watched flat Earth for about a year and we looked at this map and model. And to me, it wasn't making much sense with a lot of fields. You can make some things work with it, but other things weren't making sense. Now, at the time, I was playing around with the Nazca lines, trying to decode them, doing line tracings and seeing what this bigger picture was forming in Google Earth. And what I'll do is, hold on, I'll just screen share. Can you present me, Cats, and I'll show you exactly what we're relating to. That'll probably be a good idea about now.
Okay, let me see if I remember. Remember, it's been a long time. Oh, it's not that one. Which one is it? Controls, right?
It's okay. If you mute, I'll talk and it'll keep it on screen while I talk. That'll work. I'm
Hold
screen
on.
sharing it now. You should see it now, can you?
Uh, uh, okay, I'm trying to screen share you. Okay, well, you're on there.
Present, yeah. It's present option, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on the screen. So okay, while it's on the screen, I'll just talk you through it a little bit. What you're looking at is the map created by Series, who is called One Hippie on YouTube. What he did was he created an algorithm and applied it to the Mercator style projection. And this is the resulting map after he squared off the images. And now it reveals more in the north and the south, as you can see clearly, the true scale and shape of Antarctica being revealed. Now, the Nazca line research I was doing, when I was doing the line tracings, I came across this grid. This is the Nazca Mandala and the Sun Star of Peru. And as soon as I seen them, I knew straight away I need to put these on a map and see what this relates to. So, for me, it became a case of doing more line tracings and the Nazca lines and overlaying this grid on world maps until it made sense on the correct map. Because to me, it's relating to the map. And as you can see with the gates in the north, south, east, and west on this, they match scriptural mentions from Enoch, the Bible, and many other cultures of gates in the north, south, east, and west. And that's what made it very special for me as soon as I seen it. I thought, this has got to be related to the gates that's mentioned in scriptures. So this is the map and model that we're doing, and we called it the angelic particle matrix due to our decodings of what angels really are. Technologies in the underworld responsible for the creation and movement of luminaries and pretty much most of nature itself. And our research is based upon all this, basically, and it's expanded way outside of all the realms of possibilities we even thought we would consider at the time. We've learned a lot just from using this grid and map with real world data. Now, we're not here to push a map or model, but we did need to create a model to see what we're dealing with. And what we've done since is use all data, research, informations, anything we can get our hands on, decodings, and fit it into this map and model. And it's just progressed and progressed, which tells us we're on the right path. So that's where it began for me. And what I did was I made one video and started showing it around. That was the first video I made on this research. and that's when I kind of bumped into unconscious. But we'll leave that till when you ask one question. But that's what started me off. So back to you, Cats. You can stop presenting me now if you like.
Sorry. Okay, Juan, the same question goes to you too about APM research. What started?
For me, I started out, I learned about flat Earth, obviously, and then I also had been studying earthquakes before flat Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I was trying to plot earthquakes on a flat Earth map, and I was using the AE map. So then I realized, you know, kind of a kick to the face that the AE map was debunkable in different ways. So I kind of felt duped, you know, and then I realized that my own work wasn't really working as well as I thought it was with the earthquakes and stuff. And I kind of stumbled onto you guys, and you were interviewing FPV with his first video. I started asking him a whole lot of questions, and he gave me a copy of the map and told me to put my work on it and see how it worked out. And from that point on, it has just progressed really fast and very deep. You know, when I first put the earthquakes on, it fit so very, very close to the grid. You know, the mandalas he was talking about, that it literally gave me goosebumps. That I couldn't believe how well the earthquake paths fit onto that grid. And from there, it's just spiraled. It just keeps going and going. Everything relates. So
Yeah. One, can you name and elaborate on any of the subjects you have looked into?
holy cow. We could start with ley lines. So ley lines always fascinated me. Earth energy in general fascinated me. So what I realized was that the power points of the Earth and the different accelerators, which FPV has placed as angels when scriptures are decoded, it's the connection of them. It's their energy flow, you know, and it's their magnetic energy lines that run through the Earth. And when you kind of lay them out, which I did I used the Mercator map. You know, they look pretty amazing. Can I share this?
Sure, I put.
So I got a wall-size Mercator map, and I put all the different angel spots on there, and my husband helped me draw the grid on it and stuff, and I connected them all. And these are the ley lines of our world. It's pretty full and intense, but
well, I remember
Could you
that.
elaborate a bit more on what some of those dots mean?
It's real hard to see, but yeah, I put a bunch of different pins. Red ones represent power plants. White ones are weather stations, like geoengineering spots. The blue ones are all the angels. The grid is drawn on there in blue. The green lines are all the ley lines, the energy points. You can see how it almost, minus human error, forms like a great big star almost. You can see the different points on it. Mind you, this is the Mercator. It's not exactly like our map that we use, but it's as close as you can get if you actually go buy one. I also drew the earthquake paths, which are drawn in black lines, and put volcanoes on there. And what else? I think I put crystal caves on there. It's hard to see those. It's full of information. I have a video on my channel, though, if anybody wants to go watch it. It's a little more clear. And I talk through it and kind of talk about it a little more. So,
as you can see, Cats, there's lots and lots of layers to this map and grid. So we can't put them all on one map. It's impossible to fit everything on one map. So we have to show different layers of what we're working with.
it is, because you see what trying to put everything on one map looks like. It's a mess. And that's just a few things. That's not even everything that he's talking about.
Now, do you think it connects what you guys, both you and FPV, been researching?
All of that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. The power plants show me that they are harvesting this earth energy, selling it back to us. Everything connects to the grid. That's what I've definitely learned so far. I can map anything, and I have 100 of the same maps, but they're all different subjects. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, it used to surprise me, but now I'm like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but it's, well, I'm gonna say it seems, but it's true. I think it's connecting everything you guys been researching from the Nazca lines, starting from the Nazca lines. Now, this question, FPV, also, can you name and excuse if I'm not speaking right or pronouncing, elaborate on any of the subjects?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what we'll elaborate on first is, and it's important, it's the decodings of what we're looking at with the Geopetro and hieroglyphs and scriptures and Enoch itself, Now, what they've done, let me go through this and you'll see exactly what they've done to hide the construct.
Okay.
When I started decoding Geopetro hieroglyphs and other things, I realized everyone around the world was speaking the same language, and our written language in those times was obviously glyphs. Everyone around the world wrote with glyphs. That was our written language at the time. Now, when you look at the Geopetro hieroglyphs and what they're depicting characters, they're depicting luminaries, and so on and so forth. Now, in modern times, all that has been transferred from every culture, because you're going to find every culture is talking the exact same story. They're all telling the same story. They just got different names for the same events. So what they've done in modern times, they've took all that information and put it into written form in a book. Now, here is where lies the problem, because when humans pick up a book and start reading it, they start bringing in characters to life as real people. That is not what the original glyphs were depicting. They're not saying these are real people. The real glyphs are saying these are the technologies and processes that are involved with creating and moving luminaries. Because, in modern times, they say the ancients used to worship the sun. No, wrong. They never have worshipped anything. They've depicted how the world works perfectly in Geopetro and hieroglyphs. So that's very important. You can see now what's happened. We've converted what was being depicted as how the world works to now they're bringing these characters to life and making them into real people. That is not the original message. So that's how you hide a construct. People now, in their own minds, bring these characters to life and create their own story in the mind of what's going on. And you'll find most religions, they all disagree with each other on a lot of these things going on. And I can see why. They're all, no, it's this, no, it's that, no, it means this, no, it means that. No, go back to what the ancients used to teach. They're telling you how the world works in Geopetro and hieroglyph form. It's as simple as that. That is very important. That's what I realized quite early on. And, you know, for me, it was a case of, right, I need to find the right people to work with. I can't do this by myself. There's just too much to look at. Even now there isn't there? Well, the amount of subjects we've looked at is unbelievable. So yeah, I think that's a very important point to get across. How humans convert characters into real people just because they're in written language, when in fact, when you go back to its real meaning, it's telling you technologies and processes that are creating the luminaries. That's what these characters really depict. And that's why they use male and female characters, because you're looking at positives and negatives. It's down to magnetism and electricity. That's the original message, and that's being hidden.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it does. It does make sense for me, at least. We're gonna talk one in FPV. We're gonna talk about different subjects today. I want, because we've been having new people coming in, looking into your guys' research. And I just want to touch up a little of what got where we're at today. What we've spoken before on the live hangouts. So any of you guys can start first. FPV one, what your research's been doing, and one's what she's been doing. So I'll let you guys speak, and then when you're done, one can start. So FPV.
Yeah, certainly. Mine's been mainly decoding, looking at things, decoding it into this model that we're working with. Let's see now, what can I'm going to use as a current one that people's actually seen, like star trails. You know, we can talk about star trails. You know, on the heliocentric model, they've got the globe spinning around and blah blah blah, stars in the north and south and all this rubbish. But when you take a step outside of that box and look at it as a 3D model, you can see the star trails in the north and south are actually working together. They're both rotating the same way. So, you know, what we're showing is this is a technological construct on a very huge scale. And that's just, you know, it's just with the star halos. Because the nodes, what stars really are nodes on halos. You know, like you see with the sun halo, what people are calling sun dogs are nodes on a halo, which is part of a structure that is creating the luminary. This is how it works. We're looking at a very big technological masterpiece of a structure. So to elaborate more on that, let's see now. You know, that's just star trails. There's lots of avenues we can go down here, but I'll let one talk a bit first because I've just had 2 talks, and so one's missing one. Over to you, one.
Okay. Well, what do? Let's see. I do a lot of reading and learning because we've looked at so many different things. I guess what I really do is go through and kind of pull the truths out of science. Science is not totally truthful because it's trying to keep this globe alive. But there are truths in a lot of the science. So I like to go through and pull the truths out. And I like to find a lot of histories about things and then map things. And like I said before, what I find is that everything that we've looked at relates to the grid. It really does. Power points of the earth, accelerators. Reading a lot of ancient texts, scriptures, FPVs that are decoding, but I'm definitely seeing all the truths and things. You know, the more we've done this, he's just better articulating it. So
I'm not too bad. Neither are you. I mean, look. A good example of that, you know, is the Adam and Eve Lilith one we done. It didn't take us very long to realize we were talking magnetism and electricity, did it?
No, not very long at all. The scriptures are getting easier.
Yeah, that's right in the beginning, Adam and Eve. You know, that's the magnet. That's the positive and the negative sides of the magnet. It's always been about the magnet. This is what they're trying to teach. This is what the ancients are trying to teach us: the magnet and its secrets.
Well, explain a little bit about that, FPV.
The magnet and the secrets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, without giving too much away,
Explain
because
a little.
yeah, well, the tree. I realize the tree of life, what you see depicted in Sumerian and other cultures, depictions in glyph form, you will see the tree of life, and a lot of people, they're guessing, oh, it's this, it's that, it's the other. But it didn't take me long to realize that is the magnet and its energies that they're actually portraying. These geoglyphs are portraying the magnet and its secrets. And that, again, that's what's been hidden, the secrets of magnetism, because, with magnets, you can create electricity. And that's why it's been hidden, it seems. The energy market's been taken over, privatized, monetized, and hidden. Whereas we can see from the ancients, they all knew how it worked and harvested it. We look at the Geopetra hieroglyphs, and you can see they're all telling the same story. So it's straight away, it's telling us everyone knew how this worked. They understood it perfectly. And it's been, I don't know what event happened for the world to seem to be forgetting in such a big way, but that's where we're at today. Everyone seems to have forgot what all these things used to mean. And that's, I find it very strange. What kind of event? It would have to be something very catastrophic for the whole world to start forgetting what all. I mean, it's not just Geopetra and hieroglyphs. Look around the world at all these constructs, these temples, things like that. Sacred geometry everywhere, and people aren't realizing what it means anymore. How can that be? It's in our face. It's everywhere. I mean, once you start decoding with APM eyes, you see it. You can see it and decode it and look at it and know exactly what it means. But when you look around the world, there's temples everywhere, and people haven't got a clue anymore what it all represents. It represents the underworld and the technologies and the luminaries. It always has and always will.
No. Okay. We're gonna talk about the one when you were checking into earthquakes and volcanoes and other what we were talking about, lava, I guess, about it. Now explain to them, those that are listening or here, a little bit what you were saying in the beginning of this research, because I think it all connects together what you guys have been researching about. I mean,
Yeah, it does. So what we found out, I mean, what we've came to the conclusion of is lava is basically the waste and recycle system of the world. So you've got all this stuff going on in the layers below, and it has to have like an output point. So when you learn about CERN, there's dump spots, there's dump cycles to CERN, and that's basically what these volcanoes are, because we're talking about massive accelerators, just like CERN, but on a much, much larger scale. They have to have dump spots. They have to get rid of this heat and waste, but it doesn't really waste because it actually comes up, cools, and makes new land. That's why I call it the waste and recycle system of the world, because that's what it is. Yep.
To elaborate a little bit more on that, we can say with the particle accelerators, the larger the accelerator, the larger the manufactured, what scripture calls hot coals. Now, if you go to scripture, Ezekiel's wheel, he's trying to describe a particle accelerator. Think of Ezekiel's wheel, look at CERN, you will see the wheel in the wheel. And we can see already on our grid, these are particle accelerators. Now, what is a particle accelerator? It's a very large ring magnet, basically. Well, you can have them any shape, it doesn't have to be a ring magnet. But, that's how it works. And Roger Mudfossil University recently, I was watching one of his videos, and he was mentioning that, different colours of the spectrum produce different size, and of course, larger accelerators produce different size material coming out. Now, this is, if you look at Shiva, standing in that circle with the flames coming out, this is a perfect representation and proof this is a particle accelerator. Shiva represents the created mass of light. You will notice on the depiction, Shiva is standing on top of a child. The child actually represents birth or the creation of the light. And of course, it's got the flames coming out the sides, which represents these hot coals. These hot coals are what is creating the lava. there's an excess amount of materials being made, because it's a law of attraction. What you're looking at is a big circuit, electrical circuit, and what it does is it converts elements into matter. A good way of describing that, and Matt Jerome taught me this one. If you look at your car battery, you will see what they call corrosion on the poles of your battery. You'll see greeny white substance growing on it. Now, it is not corrosion, it is actually growth. It's pulling out of thin air with lead and copper that is attracted to that lead and copper circuit, because it's a live electrical circuit. And these accelerators operate in the same way. This is how it works. The bigger the accelerator, the more it can produce. And what, like one Conscience mentioned there about comets and shooting stars, this is exactly what's fallen out of the sky, the harvested material from elements.
Okay. Now, PB, what does the promoter has to do with this? You know, it's a square, which they say, not a square, a triangle, which it's called. But what does it have to do with what you guys are researching as well? I mean, is there a part of it that connects to another part of the underground?
Did you mention pyramid there, yeah?
Yeah.
Pyramid. Right, hold on, I'll just screen share the map and grid again, because I need to show you something with that.
Okay. Did you find something interesting in that area?
I found something very interesting that a long time ago, and I mentioned it in the first video.
Wow.
But hold on a sec,
What's
and
it?
I'll put it back on screen so you can see it yourself.
Okay.
Where's the map? I can find the map. I just closed it now. I have to find it again. Hold on, I know where it's at. Yeah, here we are. Because I want you to look at this very carefully, and you're going to see something.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'll screen share. That should be screen sharing now. There you go. You see that yet?
Not yet.
Right, I'm screen sharing. Yeah, it's presenting to everyone now. It says so. You should see it. Right, if you look very carefully at the grid.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you see, coming from the center outwards, the four sides of a pyramid? What you were looking at here is a 6-tier pyramid below our world. If you look at it carefully, you will be. It shows better in 3D. You know, I've got a video where I'm panning around that grid in 3D, and in 3D you see this 6-tier pyramid jumping out at you. But if you look carefully, you can see where the gates are. They're the corners of this 6-tier pyramid. Do you see that? So yeah, that's where pyramids factor in. A pyramid is a very important shape when it comes to harnessing electrical energies. But we're gonna get more into that into the next video. So I won't say too much in this one. But yes, pyramids and temples and such do factor into this research.
Okay. Now, I know lately we see in the skies like the halos. You know, the weather's been very weird lately, but we had, or you have, and one has a lot of videos on these halos that lately they're being appearing. Can you screen share someone's? I think China has some. One has a lot of good ones. I don't know who else you know. I mean, because what's going down, what's coming from, you know, underneath, it's affecting the land, if I'm correct. And it's also affecting the sky with these halos and what's working underneath us. On your research, you're you know, explaining about it. So one or a PB.
Yeah, I was going to screen share them, but it's not letting me. I was going to screen share the video. Yeah, it doesn't let me screen sharing videos for some reason now. It used to, but not now.
Well, you have it where you can screen share. but I don't know
Yeah.
why you can't.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
did.
I'll do it off my channel. I'll use the Wonderland video on my channel. That'll do, because you can see them moving then. That's a bit more important.
Yeah.
People need to see these things actually move as one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go. I'll screen share this. I'll find the halo parts. Here we are. And screen share that. There it is. You see that? Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Present to everyone. Yeah, right there. There's a halo. What you're looking at there is the sun, and you can see to the sides of it two what we call nodes. Now the sun halo, it's got a vertical halo, which is what you can see there, and you can see on the sides of this vertical halo the two nodes that are lit up. Now behind them two nodes lit up, there is also a horizontal halo, and it's also got 5 more nodes on it. So you've got a total of 8 nodes on this halo. Now to us, this is just another very large ring magnet or an accelerator, same thing. So it's it's showing you it is technology based realm we're living in. This is where our work comes from. It is 100% technology based, and this is why it would be hidden. So this is what people are seeing in the skies. I'm actually making a helper video on this currently, so people can look at it, and they're going to see different perspectives and views and showings a bit on this video I'm going to create, so it helps people understand what they're looking at. So that's that'll be released within the week or so. But that's what you're looking at with the halos. This is technology that's up for a while. We did say at first there were projections from the underworld, and then a few weeks ago we changed our minds to levitated. But some new research we've discovered, we have to go back to the projection style technology because it is being projected from below. So what you're seeing in the sky is playing out in the underworld below. Whatever is projecting the sun, this technology is moving in the underworld, and we are seeing it projected above us. This is how it works. All of those luminaries in the sky work on that similar process. Because every one of them has to have a halo. So our major luminaries, our wandering stars, all look similar to what you're seeing here. That's the sun. You just put the moon there and you've got a moon. Put Venus there, you've got Venus. They're all operating with the same technologies and processes. And they move across the realm using episodical motions. There's a reason for that as well, and it relates to keeping it running, and it's harnessing energies as it's moving.
Now, FPV, now since we're looking at this video right now, what does the chemtrails have to do to hide the halos or what's really going on? I mean, there's something behind it.
Oh yeah. Well, they try to hide it. What you'll see is when these start showing, the chemtrailers come out and they spray hell out the sky trying to hide it, but it's too big to hide. You can still see it through the chemtrails. It just obscures it a little bit. So, a lot of people might not notice it, but those that are looking to the sky, there's lots of people looking at the sky now, and they're seeing it. They're capturing this nearly every week. So, what their excuse is, they are ice crystals. Sundogs are ice crystals, but you've seen in that video then, it is all moving as one unit, So in their explanation, they're trying to tell us ice crystals stalk a sun that's millions of miles away, which is absolutely ridiculous. No. These are nodes on a halo showing that's within our realm, in our atmosphere, moving. That's exactly what you're seeing. This is close and local. And yeah, that video there is actually a breakdown of the different nodes. Now, I referenced it with modern terminology of the halo, and I used the Hindu terminology. I can't remember all the names off the top of my head, but if you look at some of our videos, you will see the Hindu mandala overlaid beside it, and how all the 8 on there, plus Shiva being the 9th, relate to the halo and the creation of the light. It's the same story. Again, it ties in perfectly with our research and real world events and historical information on mandalas. All these mandalas are telling you the same story. They're all depictions of how the world really works.
Very interesting.
So that's roughly what you're seeing in the sky, right in front of you there. A variation of what you're seeing there on a bigger
Yeah.
scale.
So what do you think, Juan? What FPV is saying?
I absolutely agree. One day I was driving and I saw this massive halo node, and when he lined it up with that picture right there, it actually matched it so perfectly. I mean, my jaw hit the floor. I was amazed that, first of all, I was amazed that it was like the biggest halo I've ever seen. And then, second, I was amazed because when he lined it up, it fit perfect with the CERN he was showing, the accelerator, the pieces. I was seeing a piece of that technology. Which node was it, FPV? It was either 1, 2, or 8.
8, the one on the right, yeah, the one on the right, there was no date, wasn't it? That's the one you saw.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it was just amazing, and you could almost see the clouds if you looked close enough, start to take the similar shape to the rest of it, but they weren't lit up. So, but as I looked at it more, I was like, the clouds even kind of looked like the rest of it to a point. The clouds would magnetize towards this and, take the shape. I've seen clouds make a perfect circle, and pretty sure that they magnetize towards this stuff and take on the shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the video one's talking about was when she was driving in a car and she got what we would call a side profile of node 8. Now, you can, when it's above us, we see it as like a cloud-colored circle, a cloud-colored node. But when it starts to get lower on the horizon, you start to get a side profile of what you're really looking at, and that's what one was looking at. And she could tell, it was quite a tall-looking piece of structure right beside the sun, well, to the right of the sun, node 8. And the same on node 2. They're all going to be the same at a lower altitude. As it's going into the distance, you're going to get a slightly, a side-on profile. And that's exactly what one was looking at. And when I overlaid the accelerator on it, that's what done it, one, wasn't it? Because one was questioning that herself. She's saying, why has it changed shape? Because we're seeing a side profile. We're seeing it from the side now and not from below. So that, that made sense again. Normally we just see the nodes because it's above us. But once it goes, like I said, once it goes into the distance and starts coming down on that horizon, you're going to get an amazing side perspective of it and some very nice footage.
I see. Let me see. I was gonna say, gosh. Now, going back to the flights, why are they directed the opposite? I mean, does it have that is connecting with it, or is it because of something else? I mean, it's strange that they have to go a different route to get to a place. I mean,
When we looked into the flight radar information, we actually caught them flying. Let's see now, say coming from China. Now, normally they should be now from China to get to, say, the States. Quickest route for them, I suppose, is to fly on the globe, is fly east and appear in the west, go around the globe. But we know the globe's not real. So what we noticed on Flight Radar 24, they were taking off from China. They were flying northwest over the top of Russia. They were coming, they were appearing over the top of Greenland, then coming down towards Alaska, and then back to the States. So they were faking the globe with this northern route, and we noticed it on more than one occasion. We've got recordings of this on my channel. We caught them doing it. The first one I saw, I could actually see a little bit of a wingtip sticking in the top of the flight radar, and I thought, what's that? It was way north. So I clicked it, and it showed me the flight path for this aircraft. It was taking off from the States. It was flying over Greenland, and then it was coming down over Russia, down towards China or somewhere. So it was telling us, there's hidden flight routes in the north, and we have to assume they do similar in the south. So there's the flight route, but it's not only aircraft. I've spoke to there was a Navy guy came in my stream one day, and he says, I've looked at your model. It makes a lot of sense. He says, but being in the Navy, how come he says, if you're saying that there's hidden routes in the north, how come we didn't see ice? And I says, well, they would have to do it during the 24-hour sun then. And then straight away he says, yes, you're right, because I remember it now. The sun was on that side of the ship, and we didn't see any ice. So, you know, obviously, they timed the events perfectly to hide where they really are. And of course, you know, military ships, they zigzag, they change course patterns, all kinds all the time. So the crew are never going to realize where they are until they get to the destination. But what I told this sailor made sense, perfect sense to him. He says, you're right. You know, he says the sun was on the left side of the ship. So that, you know, that's more confirmation for us that there's hidden shipping routes as well that they use in the north.
Yeah. Well, that explains a little bit about the, you know, airplanes, and I think also the boats. You know, I think they know things that we don't know, of course. But I think the boats has something about it too. The same
Well,
thing.
One Conscience can elaborate a bit more on the boats because she looked into the cruises, didn't you, One?
Yeah, I was actually just going to say, while we're talking about this, we could talk about the Bering Strait and then the Polynesian Islands. So I looked into the Bering Strait and found a whole lot of discrepancies, like the fact of the sunrise between the two islands. They're 3 miles apart, which again, on my channel, I have a video that goes into detail about it. And the fact that when you look into flights, you know, nothing goes between these two islands, the Diomedes, where they say that Russia and America touch. Now, you know, there may be an island out there, but it's not, I mean, and Russia may own it, but it is not the continent Russia. You know, there's no way. You look into flights from Russia to America, and you're talking 30, 35-hour flights. You know, that shouldn't be if it's just across that little strip of land. And then the same down in the Polynesian Islands, when you look into those cruises that go from New Zealand, and they're supposed to come over to, you know, cross the date line and come over, they don't go past the date line. They start New Zealand, they do this roundabout, and they come up around Australia, and then they go out and they hit a couple islands and they stop, and they never cross that date line. Never. And these things take like 30 days, and they cost like $10,000 to $20,000 a person. You know, it'd be easy to fool people out in the water like that. You know, people are like, well, you could recognize land and this. No, I don't think you could. The ocean's the ocean. It's all going to look the same. And just because there's little islands out there doesn't mean it's exactly what they say they are. You know, same with California. You can get on a boat in California and supposedly, you know, go to the French Polynesians. You can get on one supposedly from New Zealand and go to the French Polynesians. But really, they do more roundabouts around like Hawaii and then hit a couple islands out there in the middle of the ocean. And then they turn around and they come back again, 30 days. You're out there for 30 days for this little trip, just doing roundabouts around all these little islands, but they never cross that international date line. Never. That's how they're faking the globe. You know, they're saying they're going here, there, and but that's how they're faking it. They're just, you wouldn't know. You're out in the middle of the ocean.
That's how you had the 12 gates from Scripture. You know, the international date lines are to stop you going any further in the north, south, east, and west, basically. Although it's on the map as east and west, there's restrictions in north and south as well. And those are there to stop you finding the gates in the north, south, east, and west.
And how many gates we have? Is it 12, right?
There's quite a lot. They call it the 12 gates, but when you go to the gates in the east, you will find there's 12 there. There's 12 in the north, 12 in the south, and 12 in the west. So there's quite a lot. And, you know, obviously different luminaries are going to use different gates, and we covered that a little bit in our seasons video. We showed what gates the sun used, and we got that matched accurately to match the creation calendar, which helped us then produce how the seasons work. So yeah, you know, there's a video on our channels, and you'll find it called The Seasons, the 12 Gates, and the True Analema. If you want to learn about how the seasons work on this model, you got to watch that video.
Yeah, by the way, anybody who's watching, there's a link of One's channel and FPV channel. They have a lot more information. Click on it and just go to the channel. But I know that you guys have been doing so much research hours, but there are so cool things that you guys came out about the research lately. I know you can't go too much into detail at PVM1, but just give a little bit what you have done so far, one, and at PV, the same thing. So at PV or one, any of you can speak. I would like to know, honestly.
Oh, is that on current research? Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. I know you can't get into too much details, but
Well,
there's a
yeah,
lot of things you've done.
we can tell you what subjects they will be on, but I won't elaborate on them any further than that. But you're going to be looking at pyramids, the harnessing of elements, some more decodings, which I won't get into just yet. But you'll have to. I like to surprise people with the decodings; they don't know what we're going to pop up
Exactly.
with. So
Yeah.
it's worth keeping surprises. Lunar phases and eclipses. I'm just going to tell you some of the things that we're going to go into in the next video. I'll leave it at that, but yeah, there's some of the subjects that you're going to catch in the next video.
We're also going to go into the layers of the atmosphere and how it relates with the underworld, electromagnetism, and we're going to have a few surprises.
Good. That way we can all turn into what you guys are doing. I mean, for me, it's very interesting. There's a lot of thoughts that have changed lately because of the research. But I was going to say something. Earthquakes. One, we just had 5 earthquakes in the Northern California. I wonder if it has a lot to, well, I guess has a lot to the underground, but I would like to know your input on it.
Well, we're changing seasons. The earthquakes happen. We're changing seasons right now. So it's going to hit more in the north as the sun moves more northward. You have to remember these quakes are caused from what's happening below, and it does have to do with our luminaries. When I looked at the quakes and followed them for a long time, like every day, all the time, I was watching them. I realized that the quakes were following, they were preceding and they were behind the sun. They were creating a path. So they were hitting around the sun's path. And I thought I was pretty amazed by that myself, because as it would enter an area, the area would quake. It would quake the same time every day. The same time every day as the sun would enter that area, it would quake. And as it moved more north, the quakes started to move up, just a little bit from that area I was watching, and then I was like, wow, it's, they're following the sun. And it's the same with the other luminaries, and planetary alignments. We could go right into that. When there's certain alignments that occur, it causes these earthquakes to happen. It must trigger something, or the alignment of them, or adding like a double frequency going in the same area. But they cause large earthquakes to occur when these alignments happen.
That's good. I mean, 5 earthquakes. I mean, they're small, but still. And we had one, so.
Consider it this way, Cats. When you get a quake, that is technology coming online that's helping guide or do something with a luminary. That's all it is. It's all it's ever been. It's just technology is coming online, doing their role, and then they'll shut down again till the next time.
Yeah, because you have to remember there is an angel right up there, and one of our earth chakras is up there too. It's a serious power point that's going to come online and turn off. And California is always getting earthquakes. They have a lot of stuff going on over there on the west.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's strange that we had a 3.6 earthquake in Arizona at the border between New Mexico and us. And it's strange now California's had 5 on the northern. So something is activating underneath us for it to shift. Or, like you just said right now, what you mentioned. To me, it's strange because here in Arizona, it's very odd that we do get earthquakes. Along it's like Southern California, we can feel it. And it depends on if it's high. So, but remember I told you we had an earthquake, now this in California. So, I mean, your input's more toward what you guys are researching, UNFPV.
Yeah, and also on that, it also is fracking. I mean, you have to think of fracking and kind of put that into play too, because when they frack the earth, they're digging down to get to something, you know, and they're opening up things that is going to release energy in different areas, if that makes sense. You know,
Another
like
thing,
Yeah.
the big example I always use is the New Madrid, which is right in southern Illinois into like Missouri and stuff like that. It was a huge, you know, earthquake spot. They had very large earthquakes in the past. But when they started fracking really hard and heavy in Oklahoma, New Madrid does not quake anymore. And Oklahoma takes all of the force. So it takes the release instead of the New Madrid.
Let's see. Pivy, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say about the irregular quakes. You know, you were saying it's unusual. That's you get them, but you'll have to remember, you know, there's not just the sun and moon moving. There's other luminaries that are some, you know, some are slower, some are quicker. So when you get an irregular one, it might not be the sun or the moon. It could be, you know, like Venus, Mars, Jupiter. It could be any one of those.
Right.
It is, you know, these are plottable on a grid, and as one's shown in a lot of her demonstrations, they work perfectly. They make the sine waves, everything that we suspected it would be doing, and some, doesn't it? One.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Okay, PV. On this one, I'm gonna go back a little ways about the triangle. When the aircraft is flying over that, since there's been boats and airplanes disappearing, is it the electricity underneath that's pulling them down, or is there something else there? Do you know anything? Can you let us know about that?
Yeah, I mean, they call it magnetic anomalies, and we've covered that in our Power and Glory video a little bit. We're going to expand a bit further on that in the next video. But what you're looking at, you know, like one's mentioned, there's certain energy points in the world, and one's done a fantastic video already on the triangles. You know, there's not just the Bermuda Triangle, there's lots of triangles, and
There's a lot of them.
yeah, magnetic hotspots, as you would call them. But yeah, you know, magnetics will play havoc with compasses. So you know, this was happening a lot in the early aviation years, like in World War II, lots of planes going missing. So it'll play havoc, and people can get lost. And there's not just that to take into account. What you're looking at also is the spiraling. You know, this technology is causing spiraling waves, and that is what's creating like water spouts, whirlpools, dust devils, tornadoes. You know, this technology really is responsible for all this. This is where your Fibonacci spiral comes from. So yeah, this spiraling vortex, you know, they could be getting hit from below by a spiraling vortex of energy, and it's, you know, to an aircraft, it's going to make it unstable. And the same for shipping on, you know, ships on the sea. If one of these things starts up below a ship, it's going to toss and turn the ship all over the place because it's causing motion in the seas, which will be elaborated on a bit further in the next video.
Now, what does the Mayans have to do with this research? Explain a little bit, FPV or one.
You want to go for that one, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
Right. Well, the Mayans, you know, this is probably what confuses a lot of people when they look at our research, because our early work, we were all over the place researching, because we have to see how all the different cultures, beliefs, and what they portrayed was factored into this world model we're working with. So when I looked at the Mayans, their view of the underworld is it's got 6 houses and 9 rooms. Now again, that number 6, like I mentioned before, that 6-tier pyramid. So there's 2 references to a 6-tier pyramid below. Now, so, you know, 6 rooms, 9 houses. So it means there's a 6-tier pyramid, and there's 9 rooms within that pyramid. And these would be, you know, the various, what they would call the house of the sun or the house of the moon. You know, the different luminaries got different houses. Some of them obviously share a house. So that's when I started looking at the the Mayan culture and their beliefs. And it'd be the same with those people, you know. The Spanish tore into them when they went over there and destroyed a lot of their codexes and things. But it's, you know, a lot still exists and can be decoded. So the same with that culture. They've now forgot what their history was and their beliefs, and they've been given the Bible, or, you know, whatever modern book they've been given to believe in, and it's not telling them the same story as I mentioned earlier. You know, written words do not portray what those glyphs are portraying. No, not even close. So that was the main connection for me. You know, they were telling the same story. That's what I was saying. You know, our older research, we had to look at all kinds of things and factor in all these different subjects into this model. You know, you can't say we haven't covered just about everything, because we have. And you know, we've covered a great deal of subjects and topics related to the work in this realm, and that will get a lot of people lost. They're going to see bits and pieces they recognize, because, you know, when you're putting research out and presentations, it's down to the viewers' knowledge base and what they're interested in, really. Will they see the big picture or not? You know, because it is a really big picture to work with. And, you know, we're still putting this big picture together, but we've got massive pieces of the jigsaw now, when it's so clear for us to see. And you're going to find in our, you know, in our current presentations onwards, how it relates to the world model, because now we can put things in the grid and show how it works. So,
I think that the research goes beyond that, more deep, very deep. It's just, it takes time, it takes hours to get to that point. I really believe that there's something very deep in this that it still has to be discovered.
yeah.
And that
we did, you know, we decode things just about every day. It's a case of prioritizing it, and you know, what our interest is showing the people how this world works within this model. But like I said, we do decode a lot of other things that aren't, well, they are related, but we have to prioritize them and think, well, that can wait, you know, that relates to something else, but it does work with this, so it's not important for now. So yeah, it's a case of prioritizing the content that we output, really, because we're trying to put all this out. You know, we could go on for hours about things we decode, and people will get bored or they get lost of it, because, you know, the attention span and all that, people haven't got a good attention span. So we try and, you know, just because of that, we try and keep our videos below 1 or 2 hours, depending what we're presenting, really.
Yeah, people do lose attention span on it. Those long 4 and 5 hour videos are hard to keep going with it, you know. We want people to watch them, the whole thing, and pay attention.
Now, a thought just came in my mind. Now, the meteoroids, does that have something to do with what it's happening to underneath? Or no? Or is it lies? Of course, maybe.
Well, the meteors, the meteor showers come from a specific constellation, and they repeat every year. You know, so that tells me that there's definitely, there's definitely a connection from the below to the above, as above, so below. But when you have a great deal of electrostatic buildup, it has to release when it's full, you know. So this is the filling of that, and elements kind of raining down on Earth. And it happens at the same time every year. So that tells me that it's just another one of the time systems. You know, it has to happen. It happens repeatedly every year, same time every year, same constellations. You know, scientists know this stuff like clockwork. We know exactly when it's going to happen and exactly where it's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't. Go ahead.
It's the same with the, you know, the sun and moon. They can tell, they give you 100 years in advance where it's going to be. You know, if that's not predictable, I don't know what is.
And eclipses. I mean, now that we're talking about sun and moon, the eclipses, they're totally predictable. They can tell you, like you said, 100, 150 years in advance. You know, the Antikytherian mechanism can tell you exactly when those are going to happen. And there's more than they actually tell us about.
Yeah, lots more. Yeah, partial eclipses hidden. Yeah, anti-Keplerian mechanisms is a brilliant device. You know, a kid can crank that computer and predict every lunar eclipse for the next 100 years with great with precision, great accuracy.
Yeah, and we found some hidden ones when they shut down
did
that.
you?
Yeah, the sun, when they shut down that sun observatory. Remember that FPV a year ago maybe?
Yeah.
We went and had Jimbo look it up on the mechanism, and sure enough, it was set for an eclipse. And they closed the observatory down. You know, and mainstream tried to put it off like aliens, but no, they were hiding this eclipse. They didn't want people to see it and film it and know it was there because it wasn't one of the ones that they said would happen.
Yeah, it shouldn't. It's an eclipse that shouldn't happen on a globe. That's why they tried to hide it. It debunks the heliocentric model, so they have to hide certain events going on in the sky or write them off as something else.
Just like covering it with chemtrails.
Yeah.
Can that be another reason why they're doing this? I know I heard someone saying that the chemtrails, I don't know who it was, maybe it was I forgot her name. Michelle. She said something about, or someone said something about when they do the chemtrails, spiritual things come out. I don't know if it has something to do with what you guys are researching. I don't know, but all I know is that they are hiding something in the sky because one day it's fine and then sudden, clouds come in and it rains for a little bit like today. But, something weird is going on. I can feel it, They said that people can feel it. We just don't know what it is. So just explain a little bit. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, it's okay. You could tell me.
I'll let you on.
Okay, that's your place one. I'm sorry, my husband was talking to me. Can you repeat that?
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
FPV, go ahead and explain.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
To repeat what I just said.
No, I forgot what you asked me.
We gotta go backtrack.
Yes, start the question again.
Okay, the chemtrails, and they're hiding something, and they're covering it with the chemtrails, right?
Well,
am I wrong that there's something there with the chemtrails, or is it?
Okay.
Well, you've got to look at their options. If they can't shut somewhere down, which was what they did with that observatory to stop them seeing that eclipse, or if they can't fob it off, or any other means, then all they've got left is chemtrail in the sky to try and hide events, and that's what we're seeing with the sun. But we know chemtrails has got multiple layers to that alone. It's not just for hiding what's going on in the sky. There's harm raining down upon us as well, and as mentioned recently, it's also obscuring vision over distance. Well, a lot of people's looking to flat Earth, and they're going to be putting their zoom cameras on, and they're not seeing things that they should be anymore. So it's kind of playing havoc with looking at distance using optics. By design, I would say. You're looking at layers of aluminium floating down, so it's going to seriously limit the range you can see.
Yes. And but if they're thin and wispy, they do help illuminate these halos. But they make them thicker, and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
That's what I found when I was watching the skies.
That's the most obvious one, isn't it? It's they always try and do it with the sun because it keeps showing its nodes and halos.
Right, and like we've talked about before, they're still trying to map this stuff also.
Yes, yeah, I believe that as well, yeah. They release a bit of barium into the atmosphere, And as we've mentioned before, barium illuminates a geomagnetic field line from pole to pole. So that can be used for mapping, and that could be the substance that's causing us to see the sun's halo and other events going on that we shouldn't be seeing.
Which,
You know,
in other words,
like the inverted rainbows,
sorry.
Sandra, Sandra one, other people have captured them, the inverted rainbows that people are seeing. What you're seeing there is magnetic data showing in the visible spectrum. So it's showing you, we are surrounded by magnetic data, basically. And we've shown that before with series as overlays, where he overlays various magnetic layers over the map and how it actually relates to luminaries. So yeah, it is revealing things we were never intended to see. But, well, I wouldn't go as far as saying never intended, because the message from the start was, to me, this is your world, this is how it works, look after it. That's what the Nazca Lines tell me. They're the blueprints to the realm, and they've been laid bare on the desert in Nazca, Peru, for all to see and decode. The only thing is they're not telling you what they really mean. We are.
This is why they're hiding Nazca Lines. This is why they don't want the people of Peru to know the truth.
Yes, because that's a very important site. You look at the scale of them when you're line tracing them. I mean, you've seen the overlays we've used before on the world map, and it matches places perfectly, and places we can see are these energy hotspots. So yeah, we've done a lot of overlays using the Nazca Lines, and we still will. We don't need to use them a lot, but yeah, that's what you'll find is when mainstream show you the Nazca Lines, they'll show you a few nice geoglyphs and a few lines and a few other things, but they're not showing you the real big picture. You're only going to see that in our research, and you look at the one that's got the Nazca Lines in, you'll see some of my line tracings where I'm up to currently, and how many there really is. And even then, I've still not covered them all. There's loads to find yet. It is a huge scale of blueprints. And I believe they decoded these in the 1800s, and from the 1800s onwards, our research revealed Nikola Tesla was working on particle accelerators. This is in the 1800s, mind, so people think particle accelerators are a new thing. Think again. Tesla was working on in the 1800s, but we can see where it all originates from, and it's from the realm. This is how the realm works, using accelerators. So yeah,
I know.
It's very important.
Yeah, but the thing is that the halos are coming out often, more and more and more. You can see them, and that's not just in the United States, around the country. I mean, the whole world basically. That you see all these halos, and people don't notice them why they're there. Now, if I didn't know nothing about your research of the halos, honestly, I would tell you guys are crazy. But I see it, so I can't say that. But what I'm trying to say is that there's been halos for a long time. Just people didn't see it until now. Even I really believe that even the Peru people and the Mayans, they know about the halos. They knew about it.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, there is so much connection.
They have an Enoch called them chariots.
Yeah, and all ancients have it. If you look at all the old pictures and depictions in ancient religions, they all had the halos. They were just shown differently. Different areas of the world depict them different.
And it's like Enoch said, he was shown the moon's hidden path. Well, how can you see a moon's hidden path? Obviously, all those halos in the sky were lit up, and he could see it clearly. Yeah, Enoch was clearly given the tour and shown it all working. One Conscience done a fantastic voiceover actually using Enoch, and you're going to find what Enoch's talking about when we overlay one's voice talking what Enoch's saying with the Nazca Mandala and our grid. You can see they're both talking about the exact same thing. So again, more correlation, more proofs, more correlation.
Well, it's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting that you and Juan have been so far, I mean, together on this research for so long. You come this far, and I know there's more to research. And, like I said, you guys do a lot of hours and, days into this, a lot of researching, which
I'll
I'm
just
thankful because, you guys are bringing information that we need to know.
yeah, yeah. Oh, there's more to come yet. Believe me. I'll just reply to hello Trouble Abouts in chat. So I'll just reply to something she said in chat. She says, "I don't think the ancients had religion if they knew the mechanics of the earth. They would have no reason for the kind of religion we have today." And yes, you are
True.
100% correct.
Yeah, true.
Religions being created to hide how the world really works.
Yeah.
That's exactly, that's what we were describing at the beginning. They've taken all the glyphs and converted it into scripture and told you will believe this now. And it's not telling you the same story anymore.
Yeah, and
It
gave
never
them all
was.
names.
Yeah,
Called them people.
scripture, if you decode it correctly, scripture is full of science and knowledge. You have to decode it. It's been coded and hidden, but it is still there. But it's about science and knowledge, not worship and religion. It's nothing to do with any of those. It never was.
We got to remember ourselves that religion comes from higher up. No offense, but Catholic. This is where they brought the name religion into. In those old days, they brought it into religion, the name religion. But yeah, I agree with Trouble and UFPVM1.
Yeah, now it's about mass control. We believe what they say. We believe there's this God that's going to, put us in hell because we don't follow the rules. It's all control.
Yeah. But again, they're
Uh,
hiding the truth from us.
well, the good thing about it is, our researchers revealed the creator, which I didn't expect to find. When I came to Flat Earth and looking into this research, I come with an open mind. I've never questioned a creator or what people call a god before. I've never, to me, nothing like that existed. I was just your average glober, I suppose. But when you start finding this, you can see the construct that's been hidden. And, this is the construct and the glory, which is mentioned. I'm still learning scriptures. I've never read them before, but once I suppose the good thing with this is I found the construct before I understood scriptures, and now I look at scriptures and all these other things, I can see what it actually relates to. You put the construct back in place, and your geopetro, hieroglyphs, sacred geometry, scriptures, Enoch, everything falls back into its original context. They're all talking about the construct. So that's the beauty of it. It shows the construct. Everyone's talking about the construct, not religion. We're all talking about how the world works.
I'm pretty sure that through the Bible, they speak the same thing, parables, in each person that's spoken in the Bible. So today, our date, our time, it's the same thing, but we're just finding out who our creator really is, who he is really, or she. But
Yeah. I don't think God's the right name for the creator. To me, it's because it is a creation, a technological construct. It does reveal a creator on a grand scale. We're not talking human scale here. We're talking very huge scale. It's a very large construct we live in. So yeah, it tells me there's a very large creator out there. Now, why was it constructed and what for? You could question that forever, but yeah, it is a technological construct on a grand scale.
True. Now, I was gonna ask one. I know James was mentioning what you just said at PV. In other words, the Titans. How did that got there? These mechanical beneath us that is working beneath us. Oh my God! And it has a lot to do with it. What James spoke about the Titans. Do you think so?
I don't think they were the
I
same
mean,
thing. They're not the same thing as the mechanisms and the technology. The Titans were the giants.
okay.
So I think,
Although, although they probably did have a hand in constructing it.
yeah,
They had to, it's such a big scale, I would say. And I think scripture mentions that, people put to work and certain names appearing. They were probably giants and titans that were helping construct this. They had to be, I mean, it could have been one person or, one titan that done it. We don't know. We're guessing, we would be guessing that. But all we can say is yes, as a construct, and giants and titans existed. You'd have to look at Woodfossil University or Jimbo's research. You'll see them everywhere. Even dragons. Dragons.
Mhm.
Who would have thought dragons lived?
several dragons that seem to be in the land. One is right there at the UN mountain, where the UN is. And then Rogers is in Africa. There's one in South America that I found. Several.
And they're huge, aren't they? We're not talking bird size, are we? We're talking hundreds of mile size.
Miles, right? Miles and miles.
Like that gives you an idea of the scale of our real world, doesn't it? What we've got here is a strip of a map on something much larger, and it has to be much larger to accommodate giants and titans in the first place. So yeah, I don't think even the people that know how it works and are hiding it realize how big it is. How could you map it? It's too big.
Right. And speaking of Jimbo and his giants, he found that 1,500-mile shrimp. And his big question was, who's eating the shrimp? How big are they?
Well, you can go back to Roger's work, can't you? And he has to apply the same thing. What were these beings eating? Where did they live? How did they all fit on a globe? You can't play hide and seek on a globe if you're a titan, can you?
And that can also give people
they plant.
It can give people an idea, though, of how big our realm could be. You know what I mean? It's huge. It's more than we ever could know. What'd you say, FPV? Like 10,000 more miles north.
Oh, well, looking at remember the Nazca Mandala and the figures it came with.
Yeah.
Now they tried to say the distance to the sun is what 93, 94 million miles, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at the Nazca Mandala and the way it was wording it looks to me like it was the cubed dimensions of a Merkaba. This figure that they quote as the distance to the sun, this 90x million miles, to me now is the cubed dimensions of a Merkaba. And that would give us an idea roughly what the realm might be. In other words, 95 or thereabouts million square miles. So that's not the 24,000 miles they quote, is it? And even then, what's beyond there? Who knows?
True. Well, so much things that you guys came out researching. I mean, things that I didn't know. I'm pretty sure others didn't know.
Yeah, it's a lot of topics and subjects. It really is. But we do have to look at everything, no stone unturned and all that.
Yeah. One or FPV, do you guys have anything else to say? I mean, so far that a little bit of what you guys talked before on the other hangouts.
Well, the important thing, I think, Gats, was when we straightened out the map. You remember that one when we straightened out the Aurora Borealis and the Ring of Fire, as they called it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We straightened it out to show how it really works on a flat map. And that's when Jimbo got on board, because he looked at it and he understood it straight away, and he could realize straight away we're looking at technology. As soon as he saw it, he says, "Oh, I know what it is." And Jimbo he will elaborate on it further. He can explain parts of it we can't. He can give it the terminology it needs, whereas we would have to learn more ways to describe it. That's the problem with this. It's such a big thing to describe. It's not the easiest thing to explain. So, because it is a big picture, and putting it all together into one model to show everyone, how it all works. It's not really an easy task. But you're going to see more and more correlations now in our vids, because we're getting to a point where, yes, we can see everything works. We know where it all goes, and you're going to see more of it in the next video. Some new overlays in the next video that are going to blow your mind.
Yeah. Now, what does Telsa's files have to do with your research?
That's when I looked at Tesla, because it surprised me when I looked into the FBI Freedom of Information release on Tesla. I've looked at it before, but never took a lot of great notice until I started doing this research. And when you look at it, you realize this guy's working with a particle accelerator, and he was offering them for sale to UK for defence of Great Britain in World War II or thereabouts. So I thought, wow, I didn't realize we had that kind of technology back then.
Yeah.
And really we didn't, because obviously it's been copied and scaled down for human use, isn't it? What we're looking at is the creator's technologies being scaled down by man for human use. But, they're not telling us where it's coming from, and we are being charged for it.
So Telsa knew?
Sorry, say again?
So it ties up with that too, then.
Tesla, I'm not sure. I don't think Tesla knew. I'd say what they've done with Tesla was they probably give him the equipment and says, look, such and such invented this, but he can't make it work right. Can you have a look at it? Because, this is what they will do. They're going to approach the best minds in the world, which at the time was Tesla and Walter Russell, from what I can see. So they approached Tesla, and like Edison did, when he was it was Edison, when Tesla worked for him, and then he ripped him off, didn't pay him after he, converted it DC to AC electric. So Tesla was trying to help them, and they were just ripping him off and fobbing him off, and the poor guy died poor. He should have been a billionaire, because he did create inventions from what he learned working with this technology. But yeah, I think he was duped. He's like a fall guy. Once they die, they can modify any paperwork in his safe and add more things to it, which I think has been done. So they can say, no, Tesla invented this, and this is where we got the idea from. No, but where did Tesla get it from? It's a back and two, and they're not. You're not going to find that in paperwork. But I think that's what they would do. They would give Tesla bits of things to look at, so he figured it out for them how it works. And then now they've got it, they don't need him anymore. So the poor guy was, he died poor, didn't he? But on the other hand, you look at Walter Russell's work, and if you want to understand how this world works, I would recommend 100% Walter Russell. And for a good explanation of the luminaries and a great deal more, you've got to look at Santos Bonacci. So Walter Russell, Santos Bonacci, and look into our research, and you will realize how this world really works. That's the only easiest way of putting it. You've got to understand Walter Russell's work to understand how this world works and scale it up to a bigger scale.
Yeah. And Yuan, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, he said that perfectly. Walter Russell, I'm still trying to wrap my head completely around Walter Russell. So, I mean, I get what FPV's talked about so far. I really need to go and read more up on him. He's brilliant.
Well, FPV spoke for both of us. I'm just,
articulated.
It's only because I can look at people's work and decode it into how the realm works. That's all I'm doing, really. I looked at Walter Russell's work and thought, how does that work on the map and grid? Let's have a look at that. And then, we know we've got epicycle motions, and then you've got these waves going across, and it doesn't take long for it all to fall into place to see, well, these people have worked. Same with Walter Russell. I don't think he was one of the globalists either, because he worked out himself how it worked. I've seen all his work, and it doesn't tell me that he's working for anyone else but himself. He's an inventor. He's a clever guy, and he worked it all out, and he was making his own models and inventions from it. So And he couldn't, what I will disagree with, he was trying to pinpoint it down to nature. This is how nature works. But that's when I realized this guy isn't, he's not one of the globalists. He's telling the truth. He's worked it down to this point, and he couldn't take it further. He couldn't say, yes, there's a creator, because he can't see any technologies. It's all been hidden, see. But what he did work out was how it worked, and, wave energy and things like this. This is exactly what his work was based on. And when I looked at it, I thought, wow, this overlays perfectly into APM. I could see what he was trying to portray, so I portrayed it into our model, and it made a lot more sense, didn't it, One?
Yes, absolutely.
It's given us answers that we hadn't even thought of questions for before, really. You're going to see that in the next video.
Right, that's what I was about to say. I was like, you went into it a bit in the last video, but the next one is going to be even more.
Yeah. So yeah, Walter Russell. I'm not saying you have to understand his work, but if you look at it and look at APM, you will see how his work actually overlays into the real world model. It just needs scaled up bigger. That's all. It's fit the creator size model.
Yeah. It's just how far you guys come. I just, I haven't been here too much, but you guys come so far. This is why I did the live hangout, because I wanted to find out where you guys been up to, what kind of research you're at, basically. I mean, other info I can get from you guys and others that are watching and hearing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, don't ever be afraid to ask questions. Anyone in chat or watching our videos, don't ever be afraid to ask questions, because everyone's forgot how it works. That's what we realize. Everyone around the world has forgot how it all works. We knew at some point in time. We definitely knew, because we can see it in all the glyphs. So yeah, never be afraid to ask questions. we might not have the answers, but if you give us a question, someone could ask us a question. That's going to lead to some more research needing done, and then we're going to find some more. We're going to solve more problems. Find more answers. That's how it works. People ask questions, and that's a good question. We better look at that, and lo and behold, it usually fits into the grid or map somewhere.
I know the Aztecas, or I think it's the Aztecas or Mayans, the calendar. If we really look at it and look at what the research you guys have done so far, it connects to the bottom world, the underneath world, because even though it's a calendar, but if we really look at the design, because I have one here, it looks just like it's the wheel, okay, and you have all these numbers. But if we really look at it, FPV, I feel it has something to do with your research. In other words, like I said, they know
100%, yeah.
something.
100%.
They knew something.
As soon as you look at that wheel, they've got the depictions and the different circles around it, and they've also got the grid part in the center as well. So yeah, it's the same depiction. It's not just a calendar. It's the 12 gates as well. The 12 gates, the calendar, it's everything all in one. It really is. And as Jason's covered before as well, it's not just based on one. They had separate calendars and events for like Venus. So Mars, there must have been others for Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and all the rest. So they obviously had different stones for different luminaries. So what it's telling you is that they all knew exactly how it worked, and they were using it to teach others. They were using it as a teaching tool. Yeah, they weren't as primitive as mainstream's telling us. Nowhere near. We're more primitive.
Even though that they gave us, FPV, that they gave us heads up, this is about the underworld, because I remember that a lot of Native Americans always talked about the underworld, always. And the thing is that, the Mayans, the calendar of theirs, or the Aztecas, I can't remember at this moment, but the calendar shows exactly how it's doing the underneath, the underworld. They knew, and they're giving us heads up. And you guys, okay, you and Len and others that are involved, are finding all this out in this time, in this moment, just like they had it.
Well, that's what I did
So
catch, you know, when it
it's
came to
very
flat Earth.
interesting to find all this.
When we came to flat Earth, I thought I'm going to have to throw everything away I thought I knew, and go and look at what the ancients are teaching, because what they're teaching us today is absolute garbage. You know, they're teaching us nonsense. So, you know, it wasn't a big problem for me to think, right, I'll chuck out everything away I think I knew and start again and look what the ancients were telling us and what they were being taught. And that's when you find the truths and the answers. They were telling the truth.
Hmm.
They were showing you in their depictions how the world really works.
Because I know when they used to have the powwows, they used to they used to do the peace, the smoke the peace or peace smoke, whatever. But they went into this underworld. Their spirit did. So that's what I'm saying. They knew more than what we know right now. Still, they knew so much, and
Yeah.
they tried to leave us for us to know, but we never did. Right? I mean, that's how
Well,
I feel.
they say the sun comes from and returns to the ground. The Emerald Tablets tells you the same. The sun comes from and returns to the ground. And one of our videos, I showed you footage from their own camera where the sun came from the ground. There's no question in our minds that was at the East Gates. We're going to prove that in the next video, exactly where that station is. I've got proof already where it is, so you're going to see that in the next video. But yeah, you are seeing luminaries coming from and returning to the ground. That's exactly how it works. Now, what you're looking at really,
Just like that video.
What you're looking at really is the projection. It goes up, it goes across the realm, and it comes down in the west and shuts down. Then it makes its way back, which is these lights in the sky that they call satellites and the ISS and such. No, they're not. They were luminaries in the recharge mode, going back to the East Gates to start again. That's where our research plays now.
Like so, China said, so much info.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. We forget how it shocks you, this information, because we're used to working with it now. But when people come across it, it is seriously a shock to the system. I'll be the first to admit that. It shocks me. I've sat there and pondered it and scratched my head and thought, am I really finding this kind of information out? Is this real? It becomes surreal at times. You think,
yeah,
no way can I know how this works, but we can't see it working any other way. And one's going to agree. Give a goosebumps for weeks. It probably still does at times. But yeah, it's surprising and shocking and very revealing.
I think one feels the same way, right? One? Yes, I do. Sometimes it still gets me.
I trouted one last week.
Yeah, you did. I thought I was untroutable.
If people thought, people see us as slapping each other with trout, it's just a fun thing that we created. When we find something out new, we clout each other with a trout and say, hey, look what I learned today. Whack. And you tell them what you learned today. So that's what the trout thing is. We're trouting each other and saying, hey, look what I found. It's just a fun thing in our group.
I know, going back to the videos of in the sky that China won, and who else? Shanna, and I don't know who else had. You put a video together.
Rose.
You want to, huh?
Rose.
Yeah, Rose tinted monocle.
Okay.
That was the one with the IS.
Oh, okay. I mean, do you want to share it, or it's up to you?
No.
Those videos.
We'll just do the reviews. We can discuss it if you want, because what it was, we were showing how the decodings from the Egyptian 12 gates is actually talking about the sun's return path in the underworld going back to the east. And that's what that light in the sky they call the ISS is, saying that before. This is the sun in its shutdown mode. And this is, what Rose done the voiceover for it.
Okay, why does the sun look so close in some days?
Hold on, Cats. The big surprise there was when I was looking into that, I found an image online because, you know, remember Isis, Ra's mother. Now these depictions you're going to see everywhere. You've got Isis and Ra from Egyptian times. You've got Jesus and Mary from the Christian beliefs, and this keeps going on and on through different, you know, cultures and beliefs. It's always the same story, just different names for the same events. And what it is, it's basically the scene where you see Mary or Isis breastfeeding a child. That's they call it solar rejuvenation. In other words, the sun's getting a recharge while it goes back to the east, and then it'll start again. It's as simple as that. You know, when you work it out and decode it, that's what it's telling you. Cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. Then why is some days, like I'd say like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the sun looked so near. I mean, like if you could touch it and it was bright. Why is that? I mean, this is like the third time I've seen it.
Currently, at your location in the world, the sun is probably right overhead. That's probably why it looks closer. You know, when you look at the
I mean, I'm sorry, not the sun, the moon. The moon. I'm sorry, the moon, not
the
the
moon's
sun.
doing the same. It's just moving up and down the gates. The moon changes gates roughly daily by the look of it. Every day it's changing gates. You know, the 12 gates. The sun changes gates every 30 days, and over the course of the year, that's what creates the seasons. Now the moon's a different story. The moon is up and down those gates rapidly every day. You know, every day it's changing from gate to gate. So you will see it close at times, and then you'll see it in the distance the week later, and you think, wow, how did it get all the way over there? It's just because of its path that it has to follow through the gates. So yeah, you know,
I see.
so some are moving up and down the gates quicker than others. You'll notice that more. You know, you're going to see overhead, and then you're going to see it in the distance, like where you see the sun in winter, and you think, how did it get all over there in the course of a week? But this is how it works. It's
Yep.
you know, it's got a different sequence to the sun.
It also rises 49 minutes later or earlier every day. That's how it moves so fast. That's how it goes ahead of the sun and behind it.
Going east to west, you know, the sun is traveling faster than it, but it's moving up and down the gates. So we're going to see it moving north and south rapidly over the course of a month. You're going to see it move up and down quite a few times. That's why, you know, people look at it and think, well, it's in the wrong place. No, it's just changed gates overnight. Now it's over there. You know, there's a few people said that to us. You know, the moon's in the wrong place. No, it's not. It's exactly where it needs to be because it's changed gate and now it's over there.
So in other words, if it goes really quick, is that why the days are coming faster, or is it, or what? Explain a little bit. Does it have something to do with that, or what?
How do you mean the days are coming faster?
Well, because see, like right now, okay, the time changes, which, you know, mankind wants it that way. But the more you see the days go fast, like you said, you know, the sun is of the opposite, or what you said earlier. Oh God, I'm lost here now. You're gonna have to explain again for me get my thoughts back on what you just said.
On the sun and moon changing gates.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So when it's changing
hold on,
the gates.
What I'll do is, I'll put the seasons video on, and then you can see, at least you can see the sun doing it, and then it'll help me explain what the moon's doing as well. So hold on, I'll just screen share. Do you want to present me cats, and I'll screen share this?
Oh, I thought I already did. Hold on. Let me see if I.
That's it. Yeah, I'm presenting. Don't worry. Can you see that? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. Watch on the right side of the map, and you will see the sun coming from one of the gates. That's it there. You know, that's now the northern summer, or just about the northern summer anyway. The 30 days after this one, it will switch to the equinox, and then it'll start moving back down the gates. So you can see that green light on the top right where the gate is. That's the current gate in use. Now the moon, you know, don't forget this takes 30 days, so it'll use that gate for 30 days, and then it'll change to another gate for 30 days. Like now it's moved to the front gate, and it'll now do the same from there for 30 days. But the moon is changing gates up and down those gates every day.
But that's what I'm trying to.
Go on.
That's what I'm trying to figure it out. The way you're speaking, it goes in one gate. It's like, in other words, it's like the day's going fast and night's going fast too. As it enters one gate and comes out to the other side, it's like changing so fast. For me, it's changing too fast. Now I feel maybe I'm wrong. That has to do something what you're talking about.
It's nothing's changed. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's running perfect. This is exactly what it's, you know, what you're looking at there on the bottom left in green text is the creation calendar. And I synced that with this gate sequence that I created from the east to the west. So it matches every 30 days, you know, it'll move up and down the gates. Like I said, the moon changes them gates daily. So that's why people are seeing it far north, and then a week later you might see it further, you know, down in the south somewhere, and you think, how did it get all the way over there? But it makes sense because it's changing gates daily. You know, it's showing you, although they're all working together and doing stuff, they've all got their own role to play. And the moon's role is a lot busier than the sun's because it's up and down those gates really rapid. But, you know, nothing's changing. This is how it works and how it will probably always work and how it always has worked. So, yeah, it's functioning, you know, it's functioning as by design, as it was designed to work.
Yeah. Is that why they're trying to confuse us in so many ways?
Yeah, you know,
so we don't have to.
Well, you know, look at our calendar. We see New Year's in January the 1st, when in reality it's March. Our New Year's actually in March because that's when it switches to the equinox. So, you know, the Romans, I think Romans that changed our calendar to, well, literally what they do is hide the fact it's a construct and predictable and repeatable, and it's never going to change. That's what we're trying to hide, but you can't. You know, you start looking at all this data and putting it together like I did these seasons, it works absolutely perfect. So yeah, it is a construct.
Yeah.
All the data is showing us it is a construct. We can't hide it. We cannot deny this is the creator's glory we're looking at. And like I said, I came to this without having any beliefs in a creator or whatever you want to call the creator. But now I can't deny it. I can see it. It's a construct. 100% a construct.
Wow, so much info that we should really research what you're saying as well. I mean, I know that soon you'll be giving out another video, UN1, which, I mean, I hope everybody goes see it, whatever you're gonna do, update or UN1. But it's very interesting. For me, it is.
It is, isn't it? There's so many things you can talk about. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and everything connects. You know, like what we were talking before, the Mayans, the Aztecas, the Peru, the Nazca lines. I mean, everything connects in one.
Yeah.
Like you said, the underworld, it all connects.
Like I said at the start, Kat, so we're not here to push maps and models, but because of what we found out, you know, because of what we found out and researched and able to show in this model, it warrants far much, you know, it warrants further investigation. And of course, you know, for people that want the full exploration, which we agree with, you can't prove anything without exploring it and finding it. But we can show them where, you know, the places of interest to look. And our recommendations are always going to be the East Gate because they're the closest. You want to see where the sun, you know, you want to see where the lights are really coming from. Of course, the East Gates.
Okay.
Cannot be hidden.
Okay.
Cool stuff, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah. Wow.
We
So
can't
much.
we can't give this the words it really needs. Like a master like Santos Bonacci you could give it, but we have to put it across.
Yeah.
We still have to put it across in layman's terms so anyone can understand it. And it's not, it's not really hard to understand. It is easy to explain. It helps when we do the videos and depictions. It keeps us up to date and refreshed because you do learn that much. You start forgetting some of the older stuff. But because we've got it now in video form, we can jump back to it for a refresher anytime we want because it's a lot to take on board, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of videos, so does one, or even on this channel, where they can always go back and look at the beginning of the research, and you guys come so far. So,
Yeah.
I recommend everybody to go start there to understand where you're coming from and what you're
Yeah.
talking about, you and
That's
one.
it. That's it. We've always been transparent and put our research out there so that people can see where we get our conclusions from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It encompasses everything that we've looked at adequately, easily, and still more to come.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else to say, one? You're quiet.
I think we covered most of it. We could talk about the fallen angels for a second.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that was another one I was going to ask you about. Yeah. Go for it, one.
Well, FPV decoded it to be angels that had flaws. So they were locked away, for whatever. And so I went and searched them and tried to place them. And amazingly enough, I was able to. And now they're all mines and power plants. So that kind of tells us that they're mining down, maybe to try to see, to figure out how this technology works, possibly. Or they already did. But it was crazy because they're all mines now. Stuff.
Yeah.
That's where we can get into grid accuracy one, isn't it? You look at the grid accuracy we've got now over this map, we would put it in the high 90s, 95% grid accuracy now, easy. Because it aligns, like the Kola borehole, it aligns on top of one of our angel spots. The German continental deep drilling program right on top of one of our angel spots again. And then you've got all these other areas in the world that we haven't even discussed yet on the grid to look at. Some of them are going to be political, so we don't really go there a lot, but you can look exactly on the map where they are and see where they are for yourself. They're there on the map. Take a good look at that grid and the accuracy bit because it's going to surprise you.
Is this why they don't want us to go off the grid?
Well, to keep you on the grid, they've got a customer. It's all about customers, isn't it? It's privatized, monetized, and hidden. So yeah, it's all about keeping control and charging you money.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Paying for free energy. We're the only species on the whole world that's dumb enough to pay to live here.
Yeah.
Emerald said, "Is CERN the pit of the fallen angels?"
No.
No. CERN's either an original that's been refurbished or it's a copy. They had, and if you look in the Tesla files again, they're saying Tesla was selling accelerators. When you look at CERN, that is not something Tesla could possibly build. So where did it come from?
Yep, they're all over the world. When I placed them, they're everywhere. I will say there's a lot in Europe. I'm not sure.
You can go to the reasons why they're hiding all this because they're stealing it.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. They've claimed it for themselves.
Of course, they're brainwashing us.
Well, look at it this way. They are not spending all this money on space cartoons, are they? So where's the money really going? It's going into reverse engineering and doing things down below. Where else would it be going?
I agree.
It's not being spent on space cartoons, is it?
Nope,
Yeah.
they're going down. And I mean, NASA even kind of gave that away because they said they were going underground. They wanted to study volcanoes and they wanted to study underground. And why the hell is NASA going underground? You know?
Yeah, why do they want to play with
Yeah.
Yellowstone, and why have they got a base on top of the Hawaiian volcano? Actually, sell that, people. They know how it works.
Yep.
Wow. There's so much that they're hiding from us still. I mean,
Well,
so
I'll
much.
just tell Emerald Rider in chat, because he's asked, is it the pit of the fallen angels? Well, you know, like one just said, fallen angels just malfunction in technology. It's failed for a reason. So fallen means failed. In other words, it's fell. It doesn't work anymore. It's gone wrong. So it's been scrapped or put aside to look at sometime in the future.
Which I could think that technology is gonna fall.
It seems to be doing quite well for the length of time it's been running.
Yeah, but for how long, FPV?
Well,
Come on.
yeah,
I think
well, there's another option. You know, is NASA's real role the care, maintenance, and upgrading of this technology? Well, you know, you seriously got to consider that. Are they doing a good thing or a bad thing? We can't say because we're not down there watching what they're doing. But
true.
hiding it is a bad thing. Why hide it? The world should know about this, and everyone's got the right to go and see it. But you know, is that what their real role is? Care, maintenance, and tech, and you know, all that kind of work. We don't know. So we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, we know they're lying, so that's a bad thing. Big deceptions don't work. It's not fair on humanity.
Yeah.
And you know, you can go down the political route then, cats. All the bad politics in the world relate to hiding this. Because what you're going to realize is all roads lead to hiding the construct and all that implies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Everyone says all roads lead to Rome. No, all roads lead to hiding the construct. That's their top priority. Because that's what's keeping them in power.
True. Very true. It all comes together. Politics, you name it, the whole works. It all connects. You know, they know more than what we know.
I did
And
do a CERN decode in one of our videos. You know, anyone that's interested in CERN should go and watch that, and you will see what they're portraying in that CERN ceremony relates to the technologies we're discussing in our research. It's the same thing.
yeah. Okay. One, this is a question for you. Excuse me. The rainbows. What does it connect with it then? Why is there a rainbow? They say because the rain, but it has to form a rainbow from somewhere underneath. Is it a sign that they're doing underneath with these colors, or what? I mean, now I'm questioning about the rainbow. It's one side to the other side.
That is a good question, but the halos make rainbow colors as well. And sometimes we see them in the form of a rainbow just across the top. Sometimes we just see a little piece of the side. Sometimes we see the full circle and it shows the full spectrum of light of the rainbow. I mean, I don't know, FPV.
Yeah, I would say the rainbow, because I don't think it's a physical structure. I think it's another. I would call it a harmonic of something below. You know, with like the sun, you could class the sun as a harmonic of something that's physical down below. And rainbows we have to take into the same kind of account. You know, we're seeing the same colors we see with the magnetic data, but you know, a lot clearer and sharper. And I think you're only seeing half of it, because you know, below the ground that will create a full circle. So it's a harmonic, I think, because it's obviously not something you're going to crash into in a plane or something. So it's a harmonic of something down below that's magnetic related. Yeah,
Hmm.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, because that was a quick thought right now. That's why I asked that question. Because
While we're on rainbows, we also noticed we haven't done a big extensive bit of research on it, but when people were seeing them in our group, we were saying, well, what's the alignment? And we were finding they were mainly north to south alignments, which actually matches magnetic data that Ceres has got. A lot of the alignments we could see on his magnetic data were always north to south, and this is probably data that we're seeing and call rainbows.
Shanna says, I can see the rainbow with my water hose.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I've seen
So,
that. Yeah. But we haven't, there's who's got the big water hose in the sky? Because we see the big ones on the, you see double ones as well, don't you? So I think the harmonics that are, I still think the harmonics of something physical down below. Because you are going to get
okay,
harmonics off this technology.
okay. Explain to me what you know about Noah's Ark. Because the rainbow has something to do with Noah's Ark, okay, which is the promise that our Creator gave us. So, what does it have to do with your research?
Well, first, in our research, you have to decode what Noah is. Is Noah a person? No, probably not. Noah is probably another technology or what we call an angel. So Noah's Ark, in that case, could be an ark across the sky. It might be nothing to do with a boat. Now that boat that they found, we were talking about this earlier, weren't we? On about Noah's Ark.
Yes, actually we were.
Do you want to elaborate? Yeah,
Oh, were
we were.
you
Me and Mum
really?
were talking about it earlier. I'll let you elaborate on that one.
Oh my
On
God,
what you,
I didn't know that.
Well,
That's strange. I didn't know
what
that.
we talked about was the fact that the boat they found up there in the mountains of Turkey looks more
Mhm.
like a structure, a building. It has, several floors. It has ladders that go up. Definitely not big enough to hold all the animals 2 by 2, like in the story. And when you read the Book of Noah on sacred texts, it clearly says that Noah was born like the cherubim. It was born with eyes that glowed, that lit up the whole house. The description's crazy. That Noah's not a person, I don't think. It's a piece of technology.
yeah, that's what we've got to be careful that we don't give these names humanification, if that's such a word. People are putting it as a character again, a human character, then they're losing the real story and picture of what it's really telling you. To me, it's an angel technology that can project, or it's related to manipulating the luminaries or such. There's you got cherubims and seraphims, different types of models. We've talked about that in a couple of our videos. When you look at the scriptures 1 and 2 decodings, we did the differences between them and what it relates to in relation to sarcophagi from underneath Egypt. It was strange, it sounds a bit strange to word it like that, but if you watch that video, you'll understand what we mean. They're showing you, these technologies, although they're given sex, name, and character, it's still a machine, and the positive and negatives of it is helping describe how it works.
Yep. And in the Book of Noah, it also states the waters came up at their feet. So, you got to take that how you want, but I take it when the Great Flood came, it says that the waters came from their feet. It came up from the ground.
Yeah, you can't take it literal. If you take this literal, you are not going to see the creator's glory or the construct. That's where people's getting lost. They've took it literal, and we can't do that. That was never the intention.
Yeah. I suggest sacredtext.com and look up the Book of Noah at Sacred Text and go read it for yourself. They describe him just like the cherubims are described. more like a machine.
Yeah, because you know when they're overlaying them in gold, it's straight away you're not talking a living being if it's being cast in gold. You're looking at technologies.
Yeah.
I
Cast
agree.
in gold and made very ornamental with jewels and things. You will find that in scriptures in Enoch. This is how they were built.
Yep. And when you actually seek out to read about the cherubim and seraphim, they're all described like mechanics and stuff. They're not people. There's no way.
Yeah,
Swords of fire coming out of their eyes. No.
Ezekiel called them the living beings because I don't think they realized, they probably didn't have a word to describe what they're really looking at. When you read through Enoch and the scriptures, you can see they're really struggling to describe what they're looking at. So all they can do is give it the best shot, like Ezekiel's wheel in a wheel, hot coals, cherubim, seraphims. But when you start decoding it and factoring in, we're talking technologies here. It's quite easy to decode. There's just a lot of stuff to go through to because it is a big picture. It seems most luminaries will be covered. And we're looking at 144,000 or so. This is where that figure comes from. The 144,000 sealed. They're sealed down below.
Yep, and that's a lot. And that again tells me that our world is a lot bigger.
Yeah.
For 144,000 of them to fit.
And importantly, it's layered. Like going back to the mains, the 6 layers down below. We've got different layers and things going on.
Yep. And quakes tell us that too, because some are deeper, some are more shallow. Most of them are around the 10-kilometer mark, but we have them ranging between 10 kilometers and what science says, of course, is 700 kilometers. That's layers.
And when you look at the scale of that 6-tier pyramid on the grid, I would believe that. There's got to be things really deep down below.
Yep. And whatever's really deep down there is really powerful, because those deep quakes that go that deep come up to surface very, very large. I mean, that tells me that whatever's down there is massive. Just massive.
That's obviously why they've been put at greater depth, because it would cause more destruction being the surface, wouldn't it? So they had to be the ones at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. They had to be put deeper. Yep.
Yeah. And, obviously we're talking frequencies and things here. So, yeah, if they're harmful frequencies, they have to be put aside and deeper.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense, that's what we noticed in Planet Earth. There's no one talking about the underworld. They're all looking at lights in the sky. Everyone's looking up, and all the answers are actually down below us. And they're referenced everywhere. Every culture and scripture you read, you're going to see references to the underworld.
So to Emerald, why the states get hammered with twisters and stuff like that. Well, it's because of the geoengineering, the power plants. They release massive amounts of steam that add to these storms. They're doing this on purpose. You should go watch Weather Wars 101. He explains it in great detail how it works.
We've also displayed before with the Nazca line overlays, there is a lot of technology below the Americas, top to bottom.
Yeah, that's why they wanted it. That's why they took it.
Yeah,
killed everybody.
That's why they took it off the Native Americans. They took over it.
Yeah.
So all wars are basically and politics are basically land grabs for what's down below, as we're seeing with Venezuela, and we can see on the grid why.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so much info for me. It's like, oh, I better go and see all you guys' vids again. When we first started, we're all started talking about it. Now you guys are just like way up there with the research. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go back to understand this part. But I think we all have to, because I forgot a lot of it, honestly.
Yeah, and we are. Like I said, we have. It's just because you're always taking new information on board. The older stuff starts getting stored in memory, and it gets a bit cloudy at times. But the good thing is we've got videos to reference. You know, you can jump back and it takes a few seconds to remember where you were. So yeah, you know, even though the old videos might put people off or they're too long, there's still very good information in there. You know, we don't make bad videos. There's always good information that links to what we're talking about on this grid.
Yeah, because we will try to debunk ourselves.
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
We have debunked ourselves and not put the videos out.
Yeah, we have to. We have to, you know, we don't do it lightheartedly. We have to consider everything and try and debunk it and say, well, no, we can't. So it has to be the cause.
Yeah.
Well, we know what the cause is. But yeah, you know, you still have to seriously sit back, have a good look at it and think, does that work or doesn't it? You know, we invite people to try and debunk it. We can't. Jason tried. Jason tried, and then he joined us because he couldn't. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've tried to change our map up a bit, and it didn't work, and we threw it out.
Yeah, we played around with the map a bit and different various projections of maps until we went back to the same one again and said, no, this is it. This works.
Yeah.
It just needed straightening out, didn't it?
Yep. Wow, so much info. So, but I know it's getting late for you at PV. It's early morning, I guess, where you live. I think it's what, 12:30.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, this hangout was very interesting for me, at least. And I'm glad that you guys are still going forward and you guys are bringing more info on the table for us to see and hear. And hopefully we have another hangout soon, you know, whatever you guys want to talk about. But I'm excited that I was here. I'm a little nervous, I'm being honest. So I'm nervous. It's been a while, so
Me too.
yeah. But I'm glad this is done. Yeah, it has been, hasn't it? I mean, there's more to go into, but next time.
Yeah, very revealing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And those that had subbed your channel and ones and mine, they'll all see it, you know. And even those that around the world, they will see it too. I mean, it's gonna go out there. People are gonna start seeing it more often. So, you know, I just hope they all open their eyes and hear the truth. That's what really matters. So
that's all we're here for. We came for the truth, you know. That's what you know, when you find flat earth, you're left with two very serious questions. What is creating and moving those luminaries? And that's what we're finding out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, FPV, do you have anything to say? To anybody?
Yeah. Yes, I have, yeah. Check our research, go through it, you know, don't go through it lightheartedly. Take a serious look at it. And you're going to find subjects you might not agree with or not really interested in, but you will find connections of how it connects to real world workings, the workings of the realm. It all does. You know, we don't do research unless it works. So yeah, you know, look at it, question it, ask questions. That's all we say. If you do your own research, try overlaying it on our map and grid. You might just get a surprise.
You will get a surprise. You won't sleep for a week.
That's just the first week.
Right. Yeah.
And you, Wen, do you have anything to say?
No, I just agree. Go through our work. I mean, there's going to be, we've looked at so much that people will find what they're interested in, and then they can take it from there. You know, you have to find your your interest. And most people want to watch things about things they're interested in.
Yeah. It's just I mean, I wish everybody just hop on, and see the truth and see how our world is really working underneath us, and why they're hiding it, and why they're brainwashing us and lying to us, basically. I mean, we just have to be what you guys are doing, hear what you guys are researching, and so we can see through your eyes what you guys are seeing. I mean, it's just simple as that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I see right through you guys what you're seeing. No, I'm trying to catch it, understanding. In other words, I'm still there, trying to at least. But yeah, I mean, that's the only way we're gonna know is just, putting us in your place, seeing through your eyes what you guys see.
Well,
So,
the guys in Flat Earth, they do get into these debates with Globers, and sometimes the Globers will throw something at them that we haven't got an answer for yet. Well, they haven't got an answer yet. But, if you want an answer and it's in our research, by all means, use it. Take our research and say, no, it works in this model, so your globe's still debunked. Sorry.
yeah.
Look at our research, and, we don't do it lightheartedly. Like I said, this is very serious research, world-changing research in the right hands. And that's, where we're at. It's give us a unique opportunity to correct everything that's wrong in the world. That's the level of research we're at now. We can see various ways we can fix everything in the world just by looking at this research.
Mm-hmm.
We can give people their original beliefs back, what their glyphs and everything really meant. So that's going to be our gift to humanity, basically. Our research is going back out there and saying, this is what your belief really means. Now, understand it and, take it on board. This
and
is
remember
the
it.
message. Yeah, remember it.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget to remember. I have so much on my thoughts that I forget. So I have to go back and ask you guys the same thing again.
Yeah, we get that sometimes.
Don't feel bad. I read the same thing over and over and over sometimes to get it to stick.
There's things that sticks in my head, but there's things that it's like goes in one and goes the other opposite.
I think
But
life is
yeah.
designed that way. Get us so busy and so flustered that we just forget all the important things,
Mm-hmm.
We're so tied up every day.
I hear you. I know. But anyways, it's been over 2 hours. We're gonna, as long as you guys want to keep going, but I think it's late for FPV. It's early morning over there. What time is it there, FPV?
It's 6:45 in the morning.
Whoa, poor guy. Oh.
But yeah,
I feel bad now.
we're near it. We're around our 2-hour mark, so yeah, probably a good time now.
Yeah, it's good. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did. And I'm glad too. It feels good though to talk about catching up what you guys been doing, what connects to what, about the Nazca lines, the calendar, everything adds up to what you guys are researching.
Yeah.
There's no doubt on that. So
you can't deny it, can you? The more you look, the more you can't deny it. You get to that point where you've got to accept this. It doesn't work any other way.
True. Very true. Okay, well, do you guys want to say anything before I close, or?
No, that's it from me. I'll just say good night to you cats and you one and all the nice people in chat.
Yep. I'll
Okay,
say thank you. Just thank you and good night.
Okay, thanks everyone for coming and spending your time with us. Also, there's 2 links under the description. Click on it, go to their videos, and just look what they have done so far. And they can give you more information, what we just talked about. But click on their links and go to their channels, and you will see. All right. Well, good night, everyone, and have a blessed night or day. So,
Yeah, good night, all. Or good morning, should
bye.
we say. Bye.
All right. Bye.